Okay, I should be back, everybody. I'm just going to take a quick minute here and adjust a couple of settings. I realize there's a couple of challenges that come as a direct result of the settings that I choose and the fact I'm using an old version of OBS. So it may not be perfect. I think the problem of the stream being mislabeled should be overcome. And I believe my host is done. So with that in mind, let me just make sure that the okay, so the tweets are out. The stream should be live. The labels are good. I'm going to jump in to Battlefield. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a difficulty interacting with chat with some of this stuff, but and I may need to make some adjustments to the game settings. Oh, this is looking encouraging. Well, hello, Eyes of Sin. If you're here, that's all that matters. My God, there's quite a few hosts that just popped up, so thank you for that, guys. Now, regrettably, this actually has a really nice little transition into the prologue mission that I'm going to have to cancel that I had to cancel in order to access the settings and such. So I apologize for that. I'm going to take a quick minute and I'll maybe let the pulse show or come back. Actually, there's a fair number of you right now. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I thought this was... I had some DirectX 12 settings on, which actually don't play well with the old version of OBS. But I don't want to spend too much time messing around with settings. I'm reasonably happy with the way this is looking. I'm also slightly curious. Okay, so I think if I enable a frame rate counter, you guys are going to wind up seeing this. Oh, are you ever? Yeah, okay, that's not happening. I do like having one on because I have enabled 60 frames a second, and if my computer can't handle that, I don't want to subject you to it. But let's do war stories. I hope I didn't deny myself the proper opening of this, but I'll maybe just so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say. Or no, I've said this before. So. Frantic Whisper gave a really wonderful gift to the stream back in 2016 in the form of Battlefield 1. Now, regrettably, I don't get a chance to see him as often, and I don't think I've ever been able to give him a proper thank you for the ability to play that game and how much I liked it, especially the prologue. So, I've obviously written about Battlefield 5. I've written about how I think some of the criticism of it, particularly the trailer, was unfair. I have some specific ideas. Hey, welcome back, Ragnastomi. I also have some specific ideas in terms of why the decisions that were controversial are the appropriate ones. Just one second. I actually want to send a quick text message off to a friend. But yeah, I really liked Battlefield 1, and I really liked how they did the prologue. I kind of need to acknowledge that the war stories usually are sort of a tutorial for the main, or for the multiplayer game. It kind of onboards you for the multiplayer experience, which is really good, by the way. There's nothing wrong with multiplayer, but the war story approach really is kind of interesting, just to have these little short stories to tell you different things about the game. And I actually had some really specific thoughts about Battlefield 1 which I never actually wound up getting to share. There were 2 broadcasts that I wanted to do that were related to Battlefield 1 that I never ultimately did. And I sometimes felt bad because I really thought they might have been something that Frantic Whisper would have enjoyed, because they're similar to conversations we've had in the past. But I pre-ordered this game. I've been looking forward to this day for a while. And as is always the case when there's something new, I want the opportunity to share it with you. The only thing that I didn't get to do was with the war story. The way you start this game, it begins with an opening little cinematic, and it sends you straight into this first mission, which I used to sort of calibrate the stream and make sure everything was the way that it would be. But I think we've got all the bodies that are gonna be here. I really do hope Jeff DeHeff gets to watch, because this is something I don't think he gets to see me do very often. But a few of you are here. I don't know if the Buttery Man Crumpet will be around, but Eyes of Sin is here, Ragnus Domi is here. There's a few of you here. And tonight we're going to do at least the ones that I can of the introduction. And then we're going to switch to just talking for a little bit to finally do something that I wrote all the way back in 2016. So let's see what Battlefield has to offer us. Ooh, let's give it a shot. The Exception, thank you very much for the resubscription.
This is London. You will now hear a statement by the Prime Minister.
I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note. I have to tell you now, this country is at war with Germany.
My father asked me if I was truly ready to go to war. He told me that the good soldier kills without thinking of his enemy as a human being. In the moment he sees him as a fellow man, he's no longer a good soldier. And I was a good soldier. God help me. Within each of us lie the seeds of an undefined greatness. We are the fathers of our own future. That future must be chosen, nurtured, guided. It must be driven with conviction. Lest our lesser natures let it stray into shadow.
Norway, 1940. Night raid over Narvik Dock. Oh my god, this is such a beautiful game. Good lord. That's what I get for going hardcore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't want to go under the light. Oof! Alright, they're not joking around. Died in the prologue. Oh, that's a great way for them to introduce the team revive mechanics.
We fought everywhere, in every condition though, using weapons we had never dreamed of. But death is death, no matter where you are. And suffering is the same in every language.
Libya 1941.
Vorrücken, los! Achtung! Panzer!
Final breakthrough at Torbuk.
Feuer erwidert! Jetzt!
Who am I firing at? Oh, these guys. Oh, good lord. Yeah, we're not surviving this at all. Ah! I cannot see a damn thing.
Bringen Sie uns heran!
I definitely should not have played this on hardcore, but war is hell, so. Looks like it. I don't quite get why it's resetting my optics like this. Oh, maybe it's not.
Sehen, was Sie drauf haben! Ausweichen!
Technology moved faster than you could think how to use it. Yours, theirs, it didn't matter. This war would prove that from ocean bed to mountaintop, the greatest killing machine is man.
Behind enemy lines at the Kasserine Pass. I'm pretty sure it's a war crime if you shoot the medics. Mind you, they are combatants, so. Get rid of where that rocket is. Oh, son of a bitch!
total war brought death home. It wasn't just about the soldiers on the front. This time, the crosshairs found the workers on the assembly line. They found the commuters on the train. And they found the children in the schools.
That photo was a really nice touch. Intercept RAF 114 squadron over Hamburg. Okay, I am a garbage pilot. Luftwaffe ain't what it used to be. Oof. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would not have survived that. I'm pretty sure that's the game telling me, alright, you know what, you can stop that right now. Oh, maybe not. Ah!
Airmen, infantry, volunteers, conscripts, them and us. It didn't matter where the danger came from. The threat of death unified everyone.
Final defense at
Victory.
Nijmegen Bridge.
Meant staying alive.
Okay, so we know that I would not be useful in the war. I really do love the fact that the dust and the debris make it so hard to see things. Yeah, I'm not going to survive against a tank like that. How did that work?
Man's unworthiest creation. What led it back to us? Does a hidden hand guide it? Birthing us in violence and blood? Ending us in fear? Alone? Until you've pulled the trigger on an enemy, you're not ready for war.
I wonder if this is a callback to Saving Private
To
Ryan.
die. Beginnings. Endings. In between one and the other. Between first and last. Always searching. Sometimes finding. Brothers. Sons and daughters. Mothers and fathers. We have no world without them. And there is no other world.
So I'm curious what you guys thought of that. Absolutely incredible environments to be in. I think two things that I noted that are not necessarily positive, but I think they also reflect my own experience of the game. I think the World War One, the Battlefield 1 introduction is an incredibly difficult act to follow. I sort of felt that this one, the experiences of the, I think the different vignettes were very short in this one. But I also think that's partly a reflection of the fact that I played it on the hardcore mode as well. So that was neat. I thought that did a nice job of setting the tone. And so before we continue on, and by the way, the exception, I apologize for not properly recognizing your resub there. It just happened to be at the wrong moment. So I'm a little mixed. I think I was expecting the first prologue again. And I don't think it could have ever really compared to that. But I really liked that setup. And especially because it gave you a little experience of everything, which is not quite the same. I don't think you ever got to do a plane in that prologue again. But we're going to go to just chatting for a little while because, like I said, I got to write something. It was actually more notes, and hopefully this thing actually recognizes my... Nope, still says Battlefield 5, so... I'm going to have to hit this button 1,000,001 times. I apologize, guys, but this is the main reason I wanted to do it, and I was hoping to try and take the moment from the game and to transition directly to this. And unfortunately, our host doesn't always let me do these things. If you guys could let me know when it's switched to just chatting, then we can move on. But I'd love to hear more and more about what you guys thought of that while we're loading this up. I also thought one thing I really enjoyed about... Okay, looks like we're on to just chatting now, so good news for me. One thing I didn't recognize, which I thought was a great touch, was We will do single player in a bit, TV dinner, but we're actually going to do... I had something that I wanted to... I made some notes during Battlefield 1, and I never got to cover them. And I wanted to do the introduction before we did the war stories. So we're going to be chatting for a little bit before. If you're looking for some gameplay, you might have to go to another stream for that. But I'd love it if you hang out, because we will try and do at least one of these things before the end of the night. I will say I shouldn't have started with the negative, because I actually really loved the start where they go from the Aurora Borealis and then push you into the fight. I think that's actually one of the reasons I was a little disappointed that it was so quick in those environments, because I actually want to spend more time in them. But we'll see how that goes. So, I guess I'll say the talk that I'm about to give was originally intended for Battlefield 1. But in addition to that, I should acknowledge a debt to a lecture by Jay Winter on World War I, from which basically these remarks are going to draw pretty heavily. And just as the opening cinematic begins on the battlefields of World War I sort of think that I'm going to talk about the First World War, and specifically about its commemoration before we consider the Second World War and this game, Battlefield 5. The Great War, as it was known at the time, presented a terrible dilemma with regards to commemoration. The figures are almost incomprehensible in my view. If you think about something like World War II and the storming of Normandy, and this is a subject of many games and films and books, that the first day of that battle saw about 3,000 American soldiers lose their lives. On the first day of the Battle of the Somme, which would be in the First World War, 20,000 British soldiers lost their lives. The Battle of Verdun was the longest battle in history, 10 months without a break. And 1 in 8 people who fought in the Great War died. There's basically nothing like that, or at least at the time, there's really nothing like it in the past. And the existing institutions just were not capable of dealing with bereavement on that scale. And that's not a fault of them. Just how can you, if you consider the fact that, at the beginning of this, there were 8 people inside of it. And so, one of the people watching would have essentially been dead probabilistically as a result of fighting in the First World War. And that problem was not simply a matter of volume. It's how do you deal with the missing? If you imagine getting a letter at the start of the war that said that someone close to you is missing, this could mean anything. They could be a prisoner, they could be dead, they could be still alive and the dog tags got mixed up, or there could just simply, quite literally, be no body left. None of this could be resolved before the end of the war. And even at the end, there are cases where it's simply impossible to know what happened to the person, other than the fact that they're not accounted for. Half of the men who died in World War II, 4 million of them, have no known graves. There's just simply no trace of them. And this is a war resulting in virtually universal bereavement due to the fact that there was conscription. And in these cases, at least half of them, there are simply no remains to mourn. And in the face of all of these facts, it's a very simple question. How did the world commemorate an event like that? In 2018, we have the benefit of seeing exactly how communities answered this question. War memorials take the shape of cenotaphs and obelisks. These are relatively inexpensive shapes to produce, and often they were financed privately rather than through public initiatives. These shapes are also notably non-Christian. They reflect universal bereavement, again brought about by conscription. The monuments are symbols that are available to all members of all faiths, or of no faith at all. A global war requires universal symbols of remembrance. And furthermore, they are not only empty tombs for the people whose remains are undiscovered. I think probably the best example that I can take is my nation's own, and probably its most famous war memorial, the Canadian National Vimy Memorial, which is in France. This will be the example that I use of these monuments. On the Vimy Memorial, there are the names of 11,285 Canadians, and these are people who are posted as missing, presumed dead in France. There are also 6,994 missing Canadians who are marked on the Menin Gate in Ypres. Now, this is not uniquely Canadian. war memorials across Europe bring a physical thing to mourn where there's no remains to be found. And this connection of the names carries on into the modern day. If you visit the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., you'll be confronted with your own reflection in the polished granite, and it's superimposed over the names. Also on these memorials, the names are alphabetically sorted or chronologically sorted. They're not sorted by their rank or their social standing. By placing the names of soldiers fallen in World War I in the prologue, and specifically this is Battlefield 1's prologue, and more importantly placing them randomly, Battlefield 1 sort of participated in this tradition that was started after the end of the Great War. And basically it's that tradition of remembrance that they had, and it does so in a way that the people who directly lost loved ones did. But this raises another question, which is there a place for a commercial product to participate in this remembrance? The truth is that remembrance has actually always been a business. If you think of documentary channels like the History Channel, they're filled with films about war. Movies have taken historical wars as their subject. I already made a reference to Saving Private Ryan, whether or not that was intentional in this game or not. And books, both fictional or non-fictional, have taken up this subject. In fact, paintings, you might ask the question, is it right that somebody pays money for Guernica, for instance? The poppies, this is at least a tradition which I'm familiar with in Canada. I don't know if it's one that you see in the United States. But poppies were sold by a private charity, not a government institution. And ultimately, the reason for all of this is that money is required to raise a monument, and it was the contributions of private individuals that made these monuments happen. Games have portrayed the First World War since 1980, and the most populous genre of World War I game is a flight simulator. But I would ask how many of these other games have contained names like Battlefield 1 did. The Second World War is more familiar territory, and so out of the silence brought about by the First War, what can we say about Remembrance and Battlefield 5? The names are no longer present in that prologue, and that was one thing that I noticed pretty much off the bat. But the game is not absent of symbols. The Arabic numerals from the title are dropped in favor of the famous V that carries so much weight in the Second World War, Churchill's V for victory. World War II did not see a fresh set of memorials across Europe after it was done, but rather additions to existing memorials. This is in part because the Second World War bankrupted Europe. The commercial side of Remembrance can't be ignored. But it was also in response to a fresh dilemma. If the lesson of the First World War was never again, a saying that we now more associate with the Holocaust but was originated in response to the Great War, how can you place a monument beside it for the war that followed? The Great War started with parades and celebration, while the Second World War began with a somber knowledge of the costs that such a conflict would bring, and this was true for both the Axis and the Allies sides. In the starting of Battlefield 5, our knowledge is not as heavy as the people who went to World War II, but in approaching a game like Battlefield 5, you might ask the question, is there anything to be said on the subject when there are almost 400 games that take World War II as its theme? And yet from the very start, DICE has communicated that the focus would be on the untold stories of World War II. It doesn't necessarily seem right to discuss the controversy surrounding the first trailer, but I would say that the controversy around the first trailer is a reflection of the fact that there's at least a vocal minority of the audience for the game that feels that they have nothing more to learn about World War II. It may not live up to the promise, but building on the strong foundations of Battlefield 1's remembrance, just as the memorials built on the monuments to the World War II memorials built on the monuments to the First World War, and sort of promising to focus on the unfamiliar, I think, makes Battlefield 5 worthy of consideration. Battlefield 5 remains an entertainment product, and it can't make a claim to full authenticity. I don't really think any simulation, however detailed, is going to present the participant with the experience of living, growing up for 20 years, having ambitions, being called to a global conflict, and being killed before you're even aware of a battle. This doesn't mean that it can't be a proper object of remembrance, though, just as any other commercial product before it. And before we return to the game, I did want to close with the words of a famous Canadian, John McCrae, who fought in World War I, before we carry on. And this is his famous poem in Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. McCrae wrote those words in 1915, and that would mean that there would be 3 more years to go in the war that he was fighting. At the time, the torch that was being thrown was an encouragement to fight. After the war, and through our acts of remembrance, the torch has come to mean something else. It's the lesson from the previous wars that we're to take with us and to learn. And it's in that spirit that I decided to play this game and embark on the war stories. Games do have an opportunity to bring new information to light and to bring that information to a new audience. But that's the start of the journey, not the end of it. If you do see something that you're unfamiliar with in these games, if the game does fulfill its promise of showing you the sort of untold stories of World War II, then don't let it fade from memory. I would encourage you to look it up, use Wikipedia, use whatever means you have. The lessons of war can't be learned in a video game, but perhaps the video game can tell us where to look. So, that's a little disorganized, but those were some notes that I'd put down basically in point form after playing Battlefield 1, and I never really got to pursue some of those thoughts. But I think Battlefield 5 gives us an opportunity to sort of take up some of those themes, and I wanted to at least promote that discussion before we embark on the war stories. So thank you for indulging me in a little bit of a vocal prologue to the game, and we'll begin with Under No Flag. I'm probably going to have to refresh a bunch of times to get this working, though. If you, incidentally, do have anything to say to anything that was said in that, feel free to speak up. I have a feeling that a lot of this would have worked better if it wasn't so hard to transition between the... There we go. "1942, canoe ashore 500 miles behind enemy lines as one of the first volunteers of the newly formed Special Boat Section, bring explosives, dirty tricks, and black humor to bear on the German Luftwaffe. Finish Under No Flag, 9 letters, 12 challenges, and we get a unique melee weapon." I haven't learned my lesson. We are going to do hardcore. London, England, spring of 1942. As British forces fled the blood-soaked beaches of Dunkirk, Churchill issued... Oh. I might have to reset the... I might have to reset that prologue. That's a shame. I really know how to kill the mood on this thing, so... I also don't know if that introduction was worth it. So Eyes of Sin says, "This reminds me quite a bit of when you went to the Museum of Tolerance. The sentiment was, we can't teach you what war was like. We can hope here that you never have to find out what war truly feels like, but hopefully you can learn things that will drive you forward into making the world a place where lives are not lost. Thanks for pointing out commercialization. You've never really connected books and art. It's tough, right? I mean, I think one of the ideas here is that I have a lot of respect for DICE, especially in Battlefield 1, to present... I kind of want to do the prologue again, just so you can... You know what? Let's do this one more time, just so I can sort of do it in the order that it's intended to be played, and maybe with that in mind, but... Yeah, well, that's just it, TV Dinner. I mean, there's so many games that have taken the war as its theme, and that's fine. If you even think, like, not every documentary that's been covered in... I can actually talk a little bit more over this as well. Obviously, I didn't want to talk as much previously. For those of you who are not familiar from Battlefield 1, this opening shot is where the prologue of Battlefield 1 finishes. So it's a nice little pickup from the First World War. You love learning about World War I, World War II history. The other day you found out about Sophie Scholl, a French activist during World War II in France. That's really cool, Whitefeather87, because obviously a huge amount of controversy about the trailer was the fact that there were women in the trailer, and the rather unsettling implication that people felt that there were not women combatants in World War II, which a quick Google of the the SOE, or the Baker Street Irregulars, or Churchill's Private Army, would reveal that's almost certainly who the woman in the trailer was supposed to be.
The British ambassador in Berlin.
I'll just let the dialogue go by,
Final note.
because I did want to say something about commercialization.
This country is at war with Germany.
My father asked me if I was truly ready to go to war. He told me that the good soldier kills without thinking of his enemy as a human being. In the moment he sees him as a fellow man, he's no longer a good soldier. And I was a good soldier.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ragnastomi. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to see him.
Within each of us lie the seeds of an undefined greatness. We are the fathers of our own future. That future must be chosen, nurtured, guided. It must be driven with conviction. Lest our lesser natures let it stray into shadow.
But yeah, I think the big thing is that, like, obviously the documentaries that you'll see on the History Channel, some of them are good and some of them aren't. And some of the war books that are written, some of them are going to be higher quality and some of them won't be. And so if we were to say that games can't take war as their subject, which obviously has never been the case, but perhaps if we say, you know, actual wars, again, I love the Northern Lights at the start. It's such a great little transition from this absolute peace of the airdrop, and then you pretty much get thrown straight into it. It's actually the first two bits of anti-aircraft fire that finally disturb the peace. But yeah, we would basically be carving out an exclusive space for games to say this is the only one that is not allowed to represent historical wars. And I thought Battlefield 1 was very unique and participated in that tradition of remembrance by specifically giving the names of the soldiers. That's the most important part, because that is exactly what World War I memorials were about. When faced with the missing, the only thing you can do is recognize them, give them a name. And I thought in the case of Battlefield 1, they continued in a tradition that was started by the people who lost family and loved ones in the First World War. And so most of the notes that I wrote were largely in response to Battlefield 1 rather than this game. But I sort of took those notes that I never really got to cover on stream, and I thought I would see how I felt about them in response to this prologue. All right, have a good one, Ragnus Domi. Thank you very much for spending the extra time with us. All right, I didn't exactly participate in that last little firefight, but... Hey, Seti, did you just come in? We had a bit of a chat in terms of what it means to play,
We fought everywhere. In every
it's out if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition,
using
Benoit.
weapons we had never dreamed of. But death is death, no matter where you are. And suffering is the same in every language.
I feel like this is probably better when I'm not talking over it, but...
Wir rücken vor. Achtung! Feindlicher Panzer! Da!
Nick, wer vor mein Panzer?
Information! Feuer erwidert, Schreuder!
Oof. Look at that aim, though.
Bringen Sie uns dahin, Herz!
It is also really interesting to do the transition from, you know, somebody who dies to a tank to immediately do the, to basically being one of the panzer divisions in Africa. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Oh shit.
Schussbahn freimachen! Ausweichen!
Technology moved faster than you could think how to use it. Yours, theirs, it didn't matter. This war would prove that from ocean bed to mountain top, the greatest killing machine is man.
Yeah, damn it. It's actually really cool that they penalize you for letting the enemy raise their wounded, because that's pretty much what it's like in the. It's pretty much what it's like in the beta. What the hell was that shot? What do you think so far? So Benoit, I think I had the drawback of like being utterly blown away by the prologue for Battlefield 1, so I came in with really high expectations, but on reflection, this is a pretty solid intro to the game. I just think that the vignettes are really short, so I kind of... that son of a... so I kind of wish that I could have stayed in these moments for longer. But I also sort of think that's not what the point of this is.
Assembly line. They found the commuters on the train, and they found the children in the schools.
I will say, so if you're obviously playing as a German pilot, to see a family to the, you know, the photo down below, that's one of the reasons I really like the touch of including it, because the German soldiers make such an obvious choice for, you know, for the bad guy. They look the part, they did terrible things, but obviously that is only part of the story. That does not mean that they did not have people back home that cared about them. And of course, in this particular case, because you're doing a, you know, a defensive mission, it's a little bit more sympathetic than, you know, than shooting at the Allies. Oh, come on. Ah, I'm so bad at this. I can only blame part of this on my mouse. It's like Elite Dangerous all over again. Come on. Probably be focusing on the fighters if I want to survive, but I will also say that my granddad was a bomber with the Australian Air Force in World War II. So obviously this isn't the Pacific, but I can't say I'm crazy about shooting at the RAF.
Airmen, infantry, volunteers, conscripts, them and us. It didn't matter where the danger came from. The threat of death unified everyone. Victory and staying alive.
I am curious who these people are, though, because I know the liberation of the Netherlands is one of my favorite stories of World War II, because it's really, in many ways, it's a Canadian story. I live in a city that gets tulips every year, thousands of them from the Netherlands, for both hosting the royal family while they were in exile. Princess Margaret was born here, and we turned the hospital into Dutch soil for the purposes of her birth. But also, if you guys have not heard about the Dutch hunger winter, it is one of the saddest things that you will read. It is a famine so terrible that it actually affects the genetics of the next generation. And so, you know, again, we were talking about remembrance before. A lot of these things are things that still you can see today if you know where to look. And yeah, in my own case, I always visit the tulip gardens, and there's still a great bond between Canada and the Netherlands, stemming from World War II. It's the only flag that has ever been flown over the Canadian Parliament.
What led it back to us? Does a hidden hand guide it? Birthing us in violence and blood? Ending us in fear? Alone? Until you've pulled the trigger on an enemy, you're not ready for war. You're only in between one and the other, between first and last, always searching, sometimes finding brothers, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers. We have no world without them, and there is no other world.
Yeah, that's a good intro. I think the only thing I would say, I think this is just as much of an indication of how much I like it. I just wish it was longer. Like, I really feel you don't get as much time as you should in those environments. But like I said before, I think that's just an invitation to play the rest of the game. So we'll do at least one of these stories before I go to bed. It's already kind of late, and I'm moving on to basically the 4th hour of broadcasting. But I did want to make sure that I don't know if you guys think that talk was worth clipping in terms of why or sort of how I'd like to approach the war stories. But oh, hang on, did they change the order? No, I just moved it one over. But we will do Under No Flag, and hopefully I'm able to read the dialogue before. As British forces fled the blood-soaked beaches of Dunkirk, Churchill issued an order that would reinvent the fighting man, prepare hunter troops for a butcher and bolt reign of terror. The British military would create a force unlike any other, a force that would rewrite the rules of warfare. Those who would succeed under this model were not the type who flourished in the conventional military. I wonder if this is the special operations executive. Among them were troublemakers, cutthroats, and buccaneers. They were not the type who volunteered for military service.
Billy Bridger? Says on my pad here, criminal use of explosives, assault, attempted armed robbery, arson, attempted armed robbery. Did you try and rob the same bank 3 times?
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Because you're Billy Bridger. You are the son of big, bad, horrible Arthur Bridger. I'm Arthur fucking Bridger. Give me the fucking money. Now that's your dad, isn't it? So how comes he didn't get sent down with you then?
Started all them jobs on your own.
Oh, yeah? I've got a little deal for you. I'm putting together a unit. You're gonna fucking love it. It's right up your street, your sort of thing. And it's gotta be better than being in there.
I'll be fine. What sort of unit?
Tell me, Bridger, do you like the seaside?
That's such a good cut.
Do you like the fucking seaside?
Teams of two, move!
Oi! I'm sick! I'm chucking me guts up over here!
Oh.
And you're just strolling off!
Oh, Bridger, liven yourself up, come on. There's a lovely little ice cream shop down there and I'm treating you to a cornet.
This is surprisingly funny. Okay, under no flag. That's right, get it all up.
Give me a sec, will ya? I can barely move without spilling over.
This game looks absolutely incredible.
Get you your teddy. Now come on, get moving. You got your explosives at the ready?
Yeah, and I've improved them with my own special recipe.
Right. You two, you know what to do. Careful with this one, Mason. Get your leg over and pull yourself up. That's a Stuka incoming.
Damn, the planes were meant to blow up.
Yeah, that's them all right. Head down. You know the drill.
Some movement tutorial out of the way.
Have you been here before? Do you know where we're going?
Oh yeah, I come here all the time. I bring the missus along sometimes.
So that's a no then, is it? You don't know where we're going?
Listen, this job requires a certain amount of think on your feet. Do you understand?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right, here's a good spot. Now take a look around and survey the area.
Looks like lots of rubbish. Maybe an alarm.
Yeah, probably a radio too. Now it's going to be best to watch out for both because we don't need more enemies showing up.
Looks like a load of barrels.
Yeah, I don't want to get too near them if things get interesting.
Zoom feels a little extreme. Like,
I can see the airstrip. It's a long way off, though.
The hangar there is most likely secured. So once you're down there, pull your finger out your arse and find a way inside.
Got some jerrys over here.
I think that's telling me then I'm off binocular duty, but it feels like you've only got two extremes on this, but I think I can manage.
Are you sure about these bombs of yours?
These safe pack of specials? They'll blow this place to pieces, mate. Don't you worry. What if I get caught, though? You're just gonna piss off and leave me here? Get all the glory yourself?
Glory? There ain't no fucking glory, son. Now listen to me, carefully. I'm gonna put my bombs on those planes over there, and you are gonna put yours on them there.
Yeah, all right.
Do not get caught. I'll be waiting for you at the meeting point.
I'm on it.
No time to waste, son. Down you go.
Easy, easy. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You horrible bastard, Mason. Fuck this for a game of soldiers.
I wonder if there's stealth takedowns. Oh, this is going to be such a mistake. So obviously if I fire this thing, the whole place is going to go up, and I'm going to assume that on hardcore mode I'm not going to last at all. I'm also going to assume on easy mode I'm not going to last at all, because I am terrible at these games. Oop. This is a promising opportunity though. Don't look at me. Urgh. Oh crap. Well. Oh, there's a guy on my right. Oh no. Okay, I don't know about you guys. I cannot get over how good this game looks. And I don't seem to be... Like, the frame rate seems to be holding. I don't have my display up. You can get a quick peek. So I'm not going to do this all the time. I'm just going to leave this up for Firefighter 2 just to... Oof. There's the side of me that wants to leave those guys back there. Basically, I don't want to take an unnecessary fight and like wake up this base, but how confident should I really be that I'm going to be able to sneak into this thing? What's also very cool is the only reason I knew to look for those guys was the audio. I've got it set up for sort of the 3D. Oh crap. I've got it set up for sort of the 3D 3D headset, and at least for me, like it's selling me on the location of people. Okay, so clearly I cannot just walk through barbed wire. Oop, but there's a gap. If I was better at looking at my compass, I would also know where the enemies are. See, the thing I'm nervous about deeper in the base here is that I probably haven't tagged the guard. Yep, there they are. Okay, I'm going to assume taking on 3 by a... Oh, there you see me. Taking on 3 by a radio tower is not the done thing. It's definitely a guy to the right, but I don't know if it's going to be somebody who I potentially... Wait.
I would never want to belong.
Thank you,
to a
TV
club
dinner.
that would have someone like me to remember.
By the way, it's worth mentioning, I don't know anything about this operation. I had to decide between playing this blind for the first time or reading up about the history. I'm fucked. I gotta get to the radio tower. For king and country. Okay, that was not as terrible as it could have been. Let's focus on the objective. And we can take on anybody who comes. Oof, yeah. It's probably those guys I left behind. Shit. What's this guy's story? This is an ammo spot. Oof. Okay, so I've got some ammo I can pick up as long as I don't die in the crossfire. Okay. That probably would not be pleasant to stand beside. Oh shit. Okay, let's just get inside.
Hello, sweetheart. That ought to do it. Time to get out of here.
Oh, jeez.
Your bombs almost killed me.
Yeah, that's because my bombs went off. What about yours?
Mine are gonna go up any second. Watch this.
Oh, this is totally not gonna work.
Jesus Christ, Bridget, did you plant your bombs or not?
Wait for it.
I'm telling you now, these special explosives of yours, they better be really fucking special.
Wait for it.
Bridget.
Any second now.
Bridget!
Oh, sweet.
You had one job!
Jesus.
One job!
Here we are, up Fritz's shitter, and I ask you to do one thing. One fucking thing that you tell me that you're a big expert
Can I
in.
just say
No, you
it?
can't, because what the fucking hell was that?
I've occasionally had teething problems.
Teething problems? Don't make me fucking laugh. I could have done that with a fucking light breeze, a speck of rain, or a tiny teeny bird perched on that wing would have done more damage.
I don't know who wrote this, but they very obviously had a great time writing it. You're kidding me! It's kind of rude of them to tell me that I need to run across the airfield after... Oh, fuck! Try and get the ammo at least. Jesus! Oh god! Damn it! Well, it definitely keeps me on my feet. I actually really like how they pretty much oh, this is bad. I really like how they basically force me to move on that. There's got to be an AA gun here somewhere. Oh, not that I'll make it. God damn it. Did you know once an enemy is aware of your presence, they may seek to raise the... Yes, I did know that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try and spend less time dancing around in the aircraft hangar.
Back for another round, eh?
Oh! Yeah, that's not the done thing. I can't ignore the guards. Okay. Unfortunately, this is what my Battlefield playthroughs, because I insist on playing difficulties that are higher than what I can actually handle. Okay, I'm gonna try something new here. This is a terrible idea.
Oh, hello. You want some and all, do ya?
Okay, this is going to destroy me. So yeah, like, they definitely give me every reason... I suck. They give me every reason to run across the airfield pretty quickly, but if you just blindly go through, you get ripped up pretty quick. So you basically do the same thing I did last time, but spend less time inside the hangar. Did not know they had rockets. So much for that plan. I'm doing my best to stick on the hardcore mode, but I know Battlefield 3, there's a fight on a bridge near the beginning where I don't know how people do it. This is probably more about my idiocy than the actual difficulty of the level.
Back for another round, eh?
Mason, a little help, please. Nope, that's coming straight for me. I will be patient, but only slightly patient. Guten Tag. I am in deep trouble.
This fly boy. Yes.
No, it's not the one I'm looking for. Oh god damn it! He's gonna come straight for me. I thought there were 3.
Jesus Christ, Bridget, that was incredible. Thanks, yeah, you're welcome.
You're a fucking disaster.
Me? You're the one who's gonna got himself shot full of holes, ain't ya?
Yeah, because of you, you tit.
Listen, I was sitting pretty in prison, mate. I was not bothering nobody and not getting shot at till you come along. This is your fucking fault.
Listen to me. You took the fucking deal. You want to start paying it off your end? Then you need to fucking liven yourself up, boy. Do you understand me?
Halt! Wer seid ihr?
Verfluchte Scheiße!
You're gonna have to do this next one on your own, all right? Just like you did all those banks, remember?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll get it done, no bother. You all right?
Yeah, of course I am. Listen. Take this. This goes bang on everything.
Right. I'll get down there and finish it up. Get you some help. I'm holding you to that deal.
Yeah, just do the job and we'll see. I want to have a little kip in this shithole. Don't stand there staring at me. Move. Go.
Okay. They told you I wouldn't keep that up forever, so.
On my own then. 3 places to go. Need to make sure none of the supplies here get put to use. That bunker might have what Mason needs. Those are the radar stations that need to be disabled.
So I suppose it stands to reason I should probably get the medical supplies first, but... maybe the choice will already be made for me. You might say he did not see that coming. Sorry, I will never say that again. Sorry. I'm British. I have a tendency to go on the other side of the car. I see him as good at driving as I am at bomb making. It really is, Sean Bean. I mean, everything about this game looks great, and I'm having quite a bit of fun with it too.
To not get all the supplies here.
I got a chance to talk about the prologue a bit. I don't know. I didn't really get a lot of feedback as to whether or not it was worth. Did I already make too much noise? I hope not. Music's telling me I did. Oh, yep. They see me. Man, this is great sound work on here. But yeah, so I didn't get a lot of feedback as to whether or not it was worth turning into a highlight or not. I basically had a bunch of stuff that was left over from Battlefield 1 that I wanted to cover. I wonder if they've lowered the difficulty secretly on me, because I suck. Alright, I am hosed. Yeah. Maybe running out into the open is not the done thing. But yeah, somewhere in the... Oop, examine your objective very carefully. Your job is to... But we talked a little bit about
Better get a move on then.
Remembrance, and specifically where, more so Battlefield 1, but obviously I just played the prologue, so I talked a little bit about what sort of came to mind as I played it. I'm
Let's
sure...
get rid of all these lovely supplies, shall we?
I know, Billy, but the last time I tried to do that very quickly, you died. So it's really in your best interest if you let me examine the area before you nag me. I mean, there may be a stealth approach. I can probably, at the very least, avoid getting the alarm. But yeah, I talked a bit about. I think the main thing that I wanted to talk about was one, where these games, you know, we're just coming off of Remembrance Day, or Armistice Day, as some people call it. I've only ever known it as Remembrance Day. Certainly, yeah. So much for the stealth approach. Oh god damn it, he's on a gun. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it. Is it worth getting Battlefield 1 just for the campaign? That's a tough call, Sean Bean. I liked it, but I think depending on how much you pay for it, you may find that it's a little short on its own. But like, it's really well done. I enjoyed all of the stories quite a bit. But it's very hard to say. It's very hard to say that you get a Battlefield game not to play the multiplayer, because that's... Like, even for this, like, it's very clear that there is a lot of work that they're going and have put into multiplayer. And it's not that they're not putting it into the single-player game. The single-player game is also quite enjoyable. But whether or not you pay, you know, the price of admission and you totally ignore the multiplayer, I feel like you would be cutting yourself off from the majority of effort that the team put into it. And I suppose it's a question of how much you enjoy, you know, how much you enjoy short single-player campaigns at that point. Okay. Let's grab some ammo. At the very least, I do seem to be able to sort of hold back and pick them off at a distance. Wish you could buy discounted versions of Call of Duty Battlefield just for the campaigns. I believe that was true for Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I'm not a big Call of Duty fan. I don't actually... I know people like to see Call of Duty and Battlefield as competitors. I think that almost deliberately misunderstands what the two games are trying to do. I think you can exist in a world where both are popular and have totally different player bases. Oof. And personally, I think, yeah, having a base game that's a little bit less and paying for a single-player DLC, I do think would not be a bad, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I do think there would probably be less... Alright, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to drop an item. Yes, I am. You think they're gonna work this time? Let's hang out and find out. Oh my god!
One Safecracker special, courtesy of Billy Bridger.
I should probably get away from these barrels. Oh, so this is going to be an interesting strategy on the AI. You can take down one of their comrades, and when they go to save them. Anyways, yeah. So Sean Bean, I would not. So as an econ guy, I would not be opposed to that approach. But I think one of the problems is that fewer people would buy the single player game, partly out of this sort of sense of entitlement that they should be getting the single player campaign with the game, even if the game cost less. And then I think you'd run into a bunch of people who just ultimately say, oof, who ultimately say that they don't really feel the single player is worth it, that they play it mainly for the multiplayer. So I think that would hasten the demise of sort of single player in every game. I'm not quite sure how they're shooting me, although this thing can't be that thick, so... If I had a personal statement in terms of how Battlefield does it, the only thing I would say is it would be nice if they did more with the single-player campaigns. But I also sort of get that the main purpose of a lot of this is to introduce you to some of the mechanics in the multiplayer game. And I think that's actually a decent compromise. Alto. Jesus Christ, yeah, so you can shoot through walls. Ah! So it's the one I'll take. Oof. There's no mercy.
Need to make sure none of the supplies here get put to use.
All right, so the lesson is that I should not take nearly as much time doing this stuff as I did before. I think I will go after the guard. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I don't need to go after the guard towers. Maybe I just need to get closer to the objective, and I plant my charges then. I think I have decent enough cover inside the hangar. But I also think, Sean Bean, one of the things that I would point out in terms of why the status quo is not a terrible way for Battlefield to sort of handle their setup. Like, if you look at the way that I'm playing it right now, I'm playing it in a, like, I want to win the single-player campaign way, which is not always conducive to... it's not always conducive to the most fun way of playing. By which I mean, like, obviously I'm sort of hiding behind a lot of things and picking people off one at a time and sort of relying on the fact that maybe they won't necessarily ignore me, but they'll go away after a while, or they'll do something foolish because they're an AI. I'm not entirely sure you want to encourage players to commit a lot to those kinds of strategies. Of course, this also may just be a statement in terms of how I'm playing the game more than anything. But I think I'm going to open up here. We've got these two guys, then we'll turn around and take this on and hopefully... Oh, crap. All right. I just lost the stealth advantage by trying to explain what I was doing. And I really want to get to the radio tower before... Oh, crap. I'm really short on ammo. Okay, so that was definitely one of the tower guys. I'm in a terrible spot right now. Ah! Yeah, so perfect example there, right? I spent a whole bunch of time setting up a plan, and I execute it very poorly, and so I spend extra time. Redoing everything. So, with that in mind, I think I'm just going to paint everything, and we'll do the approach that we had last time, because we obviously were able to destroy the target first. I also need to... This is one big thing in multiplayer too. You actually need to kind of keep you need to keep ammo in mind. 'Cause I basically got a clip and a half right now. Oof. It zooms really aggressive. This is probably going to be really stupid, but let's see if I can get this guy with the pistol. I did, and apparently I didn't trigger the rest of the base. I don't know if that was the same medic as before. There's gonna be a few guys. Yeah. I think this is what happens when I go overtime on the stream. The full bliss. I don't think I'm gonna have any time to. I'm actually playing this on a standard hard drive, not a solid state. But it seems like it's loading a little too fast for me to be able to quote what the game gives me. I will ask though, while I'm doing this, would you guys like to see more of the, like, is this something you'd like to see go into the regular rotation, or is this something that's kind of a nice to have as a once-off, or, you know, as a once-off, and then, you know, I'll do the rest of the war stories down the road. There was a small argument for doing it that way because the last one, I think it's called, no, it's not the Tides of War, but oh. Now I've gone and done it. So I tried to conserve ammo, and this is going to result in the sniper being able to rain down death. You'll watch this? Okay. Good news there. Can't run into barbed wire. This is a constant problem for me. I am, however. Come on. Oh, R. Okay, I am very doubtful on my ability to actually pull this off, but... Oh, never mind. Oh, son of a bitch. I cannot... I do not yet know how to throw these things back at them. I thought I heard one of them climbing up the stairs. Oof, they are way too close for me to be doing this. I could try and run down and get my... Oh, that just pissed him off. Somebody's trying to take the shot, but... You can help your friend. Oh, crap. I am somewhat tempted to continue down this path, but definitely only to clear out the targets, then I'm going to go back to the machine gun. Looks like he had the same idea. I thought I could peek over, but they lied to me. I am getting very lucky in the fact that they can't actually hit me with that. I'm still not 100% sure where that's coming from. Oh. So I only have 5 more shots to work with this. I think I will go up that... Oh, crap. I think I'm dead. I only have 5 shots, or 4 shots now. So it's debatable as to whether or not that guard tower is worth it. Although, this is giving me a new lease on life. I'm not going to blow up the objective quite yet, because I want to see what I'm dealing with next. Well, he already sees me, so... I am terrible shot. Well, Benoit, at least I'm doing better than in Mass Effect. I think Mass Effect sniping is probably my worst moments. Okay, this will probably wind up being a mistake because I know there's a bunch of guys behind there. Let's see if I can
believe the blast from this beauty.
Yeah, assuming Mason's still alive. Yes, I did need to figure out whether or not those were people. I'm still pretty bad at this. Ooh, I made a bad decision moving. This probably would be the point where I should pick up the machine gun again, but... I should have gone for the barrels. Yeah, well, the only problem is I only ever hear that satisfying clang when I get very lucky. Plus, that's somebody's son. It's a mother with one less, like, Hans to write a Christmas card to. It's very tragic. Hopefully he won't see me. Oh, he saw me. Apparently I thought it was far more important to reload than to survive. Oh boy. It was like that enemy at the gates, only British. Okay, I don't exactly need the ammo for the sniper rifle, but I also I'm not entirely sure that... Ah, well, there we go. Wish I knew a little bit more about the details of these weapons, but I'm not American enough to just start. This is the target, right?
Good luck with your bombing runs now, Jerry. That's it! Yes!
Okay, I'm hosed. Whee! I feel like I should be playing the Mad Max theme at this point. I should probably be making less okay, you know what? Going on foot's the right call here. That was a rental anyway. It's all good. Clearly, our character's motivation for getting the medical supplies for Mason last is because he just keeps belittling me.
Need to shut down those radar stations.
Okay, well this is embarrassingly close, so let's do our best. Oh boy. You're saying nothing. I'm not quite sure why I was dancing around like that. Ooh. Sin, how long do you think I would last in a war? I would be a disgrace to my family name. I would be an asset to the enemy in that context. Whatever force employed me would already be, like, unsuitable. Like it would be... Oh, crap. He almost certainly saw me. Although I don't see the little red Dorito, so... I'm not 100% sure on that, Benoit. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people who do... You know, so people who are currently serving, you know, for instance, in Afghanistan, you know, there's something that made them enlist. And I know that for some people it's because they feel it's their only option. But I really do think that there are still the same sort of... There are still the same impulses that lead someone to join a cause like the Second World War at play today. Okay, well, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I was too busy reading chat. I just need to set up my tripod. Sorry about your hat. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get right the hell out of the way of this. I probably should not be fighting uphill, but oh boy, yep, that was a mistake. I totally deserved that. Another great example of how I really should not be spending nearly as much time as I do
One
on...
down, two to go.
So obviously this thing has a tripod, but I don't think it's the...
That's the radar stations.
Yeah, it's actually debatable as to whether or not I should have got rid of the sniper rifle. So I still think the right approach is to take it from behind. But my god. I really hope... I don't know how well this thing has been reviewed, but I really hope everyone who worked on this realizes what a beautiful game they've made. Like, look at this. And this is the thing, actually, this is the thing that drives me crazy about modern games, is that I can walk past so much of this stuff and basically take it for granted. I'm like, yeah, I'm playing a Battlefield game. It's, you know, it's only probably one of the most beautiful pieces of scenery I've seen in the last little while in a game. No biggie. But this is what we expect of games now, right? I'm content starved. Okay, so I'll probably be able to get... Yeah, I said to myself I was going to be able to get that guy, but you know what?
Yeah, I saw it.
Alright, so he had a friend, which is bad on me. And then I totally failed to... Yeah, that's... That is no excuse. Is what that... that is.
One down, two to go. Those are the radar stations that need to be disabled.
Yeah, curiously, the guy is the much bigger target. Perhaps I would like the primary weapon. Thank you. Throwing the shell casing was not sufficient to lure the sentry away. I think there's been several women like that, but I don't know of a specific one in the context of World War II. Oh, this is gonna be a hoof. Oh boy. Well, you know what? If I'm just gonna empty out a clip into the air like that, I don't know what else I expect. So, how about I not do that? I can see every time I die, I like shed about 6 people viewing, and I do not blame a single one of them because this is embarrassing.
One down, two to go.
It's almost 2 in the morning here, so... But I really did want to finish this one before the end. This is the... I really shouldn't be doing this in hardcore mode.
Need to shut down those radar stations.
So I will actually say I didn't want to talk too much. I already did like that big blog article about the whole EA thing. I will say, so for the woman in the trailer that everyone just lost their minds over, and they specifically made the comment about the fact that she had a prosthetic arm. Oh my god, how did I not see that guy? this ain't gonna go well for me. I'm gonna focus forward. Why do I keep thinking I can fight uphill like this? But yeah, so the specifics of saying it's like, you know, one, women didn't fight in World War II. Two, not true. British women didn't fight in World War II. Again, not true. Women with prosthetic arms did not fight in World War II. Now that I can't actually find a precedent for. I can, however, find a woman who would be very close to the description of the woman in the trailer who had a prosthetic foot. So if the argument here is that Battlefield 5 is unrealistic because they gave her a prosthetic arm instead of a foot, I'm not sure what to make of that. Like, I suppose you got me. But that was kind of the point of that that chat that we had before, which is I didn't bother going to look for that until one, it came up, and admittedly in the context of like a really annoying case of nerd rage. So, you know, I learned something out of it, but that's kind of how I would like to approach this game if I can, which is when I encounter something that I didn't know about before, you know, I'll go to Google, just like White Feather 87 says over here. I definitely did, Sean Bean. That's partly just because I was also in better positions. So, like, one of the... So when I'm dying, there's a small little evaluation that I do. It's like, did I die because I had the wrong idea, or did I die because of something really stupid that I did? One of the reasons why the sniper was so successful was I wasn't doing stupid stuff like trying to run uphill towards a position which has like 4 or 5 guys with with heavy weaponry. That is generally not the thing someone does if you want to survive in a war. Yeah, well, I mean, there was an air squadron, the Night Witches, Nachthexen. So then, of course, that's the next. You know, there's always going to be a new goalpost to shift, right? You know, well, if there are women in the game, they have to be Russian women, otherwise it's not historically accurate. And it's like, well, you know, again, the SOE is basically, if you wanted to make a social justice warrior A team, you would be hard pressed to find a more suitable topic than that. But I also kind of just dislike how the conversation goes on. Like, again, and this is the point from earlier on, like, if you are learning your history from Battlefield games, like, you're doing it wrong. What this should be doing is this should be communicating, or this should be instilling an interest for you. You know, you find out about something that you didn't know about before. So I'm going to assume that the one in Norway is about the atomic weapons program, the German atomic weapons program in Norway. You know, if you don't know about that, then you play the episode and you see what was basically said in it. You know, what's the experience that you had? What's the theme? What do you take away from it? What did you spend your time doing in that episode, basically? And you go to a more reputable source. Like, if... I screwed up. That's nice of them to let me take more than one sniper shot, though. I hope I don't die. That would be very upsetting. Inconvenient, even. Yeah, like I said, you know, in the intro, I do not have a lot of ammo for this thing. Every shot's got to count. There was definitely I think I'm just gonna there you are. Oh, god damn it. Wasn't enough to seal the deal. There he is. Oh no. For someone who's saying every shot needs to count, I sure am wasting a lot of shots on moving targets. There we go. But yeah, ah, crap. I think the biggest thing for me is that if you play a game like this and you expect that it's going to be your history lesson, like this is going to be your substitute for doing some work on your own account, then you are expecting too much of DICE. And you are expecting too little of yourself. I always go back to what my experience of playing Civilization was. Right, he's gonna go for the gun. Oh no! Just gotta get myself to a position where he's not able to fire that thing at me. Now, this is almost certainly gonna be it. Oh, there's more guys up here. I think the truck's the best place for me to go. You know, my experience of Civilization was to play it, you know, it's like it was my only option basically at one place, but I really liked it. I mean, that's, I suppose, where I started to love strategy games. Okay, this will hopefully get me some ammo soon, but I only have a sniper rifle right now. Two shots. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna get one of these. No. Yeah. Okay. So this is all screwed up in terms of the order, but I'll make it work. I wish I could use the binoculars, but I'm way too close to be able to do any of this stuff. I am quite enjoying this, though. I may be bad, but boy, it's a good ride. Okay, so there's clearly a guy. I can see him. Oh. I'm pretty sure I just pissed everyone off. The worst thing is if I lose now, I'm going to have to do the whole mission again, so... But yeah, so like there's only so many times that you can play a game like that, and I would love to disable that. I'd love to disable that alarm, but I just don't see how I can. I don't see how I can get there without putting myself in a bad spot. So I'm trying to rely on sound where I can. Those were those guys who I blew it on the last time. But yeah, so like there's only so many times you can build a hoplite in
One down, two to go.
in Civilization before you before you want to figure out what that is and why that was unique to Greece and why it was, why it's such a good defensive unit. And maybe you'll learn about, the 300 Spartans or, or something like that.
That's the radar stations.
And again, like, it's not that... Oh, did I just get myself into a... Okay, cool. I was going to say, it's been a while since I've gone into a game with a spot I can't escape. But yeah, you might discover about the 300, you might discover about Alexander. There's lots of things that you can learn just by saying, there is a unit which only this civilization can build. Why is that? And at least in my own case, and again, I can't generalize for everyone because obviously I'm somebody who's already predisposed towards reading books. But I became interested in history as a result of that. And it was Whitefeather found Freddie Overstegen. Her and her sister and friend would seduce Nazi men in the Netherlands and kill them. There's an unfortunate inverse of that, which was after the Nazi occupation of France, women who were considered horizontal collaborators, if you'll take the meaning, were shaved and publicly shamed. Look at that grass. But yeah, so I don't know, like I like strategy games which do tend to lend themselves towards maybe a slightly more thoughtful or a little more a more measured pace. And obviously Civilization contains things like the Civilopedia inside of it, so it makes it very easy to pursue those interests if that's what you want to do. But I think, wherever you come to it, if you're somebody who loves shooters and you play, Battlefield 5 and you, again, my view is that, oh god, that's so tempting to pick up, but I think I'll try one of these. I should probably take the guy by the gun first. I'm going to need to make sure I take care of the heavy weapons guy next, so... I did not realize this wasn't automatic. Holy smokes, that's a sniper. I probably should not be going for the objective quite yet because there's people who want me dead. Well, you know what? Let's give them something to think about.
There. One safecracker special. Courtesy of Billy Bridger.
Well...
Yes!
I don't have a career as a sniper. Fuck me. You know what? It's probably time to go for something a little more automatic. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I've sort of half made this point like 5 times. Oh no. Well, that goes the mission. There goes the mission. I panicked. There's going going to be like a billion guys all in inconvenient spots. I think the first thing I should do is try and take out that radio tower. So let's go for that. Okay, so the problem is I can't see any of these people, but that's a sniper rifle. Oh, this is a mistake. I'm definitely waiting until I'm healed up to take that. Oh, well. Could have been worse. Let's get rid of that. I think I'm going to run over his comrade so I can get... Ooh. Can I make it? I think I'm getting slightly better at estimating how much health I have available. Why did I do that? I have no idea how he got there, but I'm super happy he didn't take advantage of his position. I'm kind of tempted to just rush this. Okay, because that guy's definitely raising the alarm. So, oh, there's a grenade. I'm fucked. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so to close off the thought, basically, there's lots of different ways that you can become. There's lots of ways that you can become interested in a historical event, or you can learn about it. Games are very entertaining. Movies are very entertaining. Books are very entertaining. And different types of people are going to be attracted to them for different reasons. I don't have a problem picking up a book on a subject I don't know and reading about it, because I find that sort of thing very fun. I think I'm still going to go for the heavier guy, but I am going to be a little more sensible with my lures. So the big dilemma here is I don't know what way he's going to be looking. I'm caught. Like, I can't move from this spot. This sucks. I'm pretty sure that made too much noise. But yeah, so just because somebody prefers to play games doesn't make the fact that...
All right, let's go, Fritz.
I think I avoided the alert just barely. It doesn't necessarily make, the source where you get interested from things doesn't make it more or less elevated. What I think matters is whether or not you let that interest just sort of die on the vine and you don't pursue all the interesting places that it can take you. Or if you go and find out, new things. And that can take the form of a Wikipedia search, that can be, Encyclopedia Britannica. Could be your friend who reads lots of books. But that was, again, mostly what the conversation before was supposed to be about, which is that whether or not Battlefield stands as a mechanism through which you can learn history. I mean, I'm not convinced that if Battlefield was the only thing you experienced, you would understand World War II. And that's like, I don't think that's ever been true of the series. I also think that if we hold any video game to that standard, then the whole thing is really what people, you know, it's what the stereotype is. It's a waste of time that rots your brain. Like, if we're expecting that this is to be a substitute for a book or an encyclopedia or anything like that, then, you know, we can all go home. Like, the question's been answered. Nobody's going to, like, basically you're asking a thing that's not a book to do what a book does. But during Cultist Simulator, I was also talking about my background as a TA, and, you know, I'm lucky in that I was interested in economics. I did not need to be told why these subjects are interesting. I found them interesting in their own right. Not everybody thinks that way. And so the onus is on me as an instructor to communicate that interest to people in a way that they can relate to. And obviously the media is a very good way of doing that. And there's lots of ways you can try and be high-handed about it. You can say maybe, you know, World War II is too serious of a subject to, you know, to be a, you know, a commercial product. You know, it's improper to make money off of depictions of World War II. I think, you know, then you need to explain why documentaries are allowed to do it, because not all documentaries are good. But I just think that, you know, in a world where we're playing games, and we're playing lots of them, I think it's a great decision that they decided to... I think it's a great decision that they decided to try and find stories for... I mean, again, like, as I said in the intro, like, there are 400 games that take World War II as a setting. I think the fact that they decided to say, let's take this familiar war and show people something they haven't seen before is a really great decision. I think it's the sort of thing that can get people excited for learning, rather than covering, you know, storming Normandy again and it's Saving Private Ryan the movie. There's nothing wrong with Saving Private Ryan, by the way. It's also a, you know, it's a good movie. Again, it's a way that you can become interested in history. If you do not respond well to a dry recitation of facts, sometimes drama is an appropriate way of learning these things. Sorry about your hat. And I mean, you can even see, like, where the problems are in terms of trying to learn history through an experience like this. Like, I get an infinite number of tries to try and take this over. There's no consequence to me for dying at all. I am done for. Okay. I need to figure out how to deal with that. That rocket. This would be the time I'd wish for the sniper rifle, but... I don't know why I didn't pay attention to that. I really want to try and finish this thing on time, but I'm obviously... Well, one, I'm obviously losing people, but I'm obviously not, like, thinking well. Oh, crap, I also have to be up early in the morning, just because I have the... I took the day off, but I took the day off so I could go to something. We'll see how this one goes. I'll try and be a little bit more reckless on this one.
Need to shut down those radar stations.
I'm going to try and do stuff stealth kills on these guys. I'm going to try and take that radar station from behind, and then I might be able to take a slightly more Rambo-ish approach. Ooh. Well, so much for that. Pretty sure I woke up some of his friends. Okay, well. So my priority now should be to run across and take out the alarm. Ooh, this will get ugly in a minute. Yeah, so the problem is I didn't spend any time getting intelligence. Oh, so he was just responding to the noise. He wasn't actually looking for me. All right. Let's give this... Are you guys going to be willing to endure one more try? Because I know we went from like double-digit views to single-digit. It's less.
One down, two to go. That's the radar stations.
Oops! I was only joking. Okay, well, I'll get rid of the alarm. I'm gonna carry out the plan that I had before. What I thought my plan before was gonna be. So these guys are none the wiser, but I now have a big concern at the approach to this radar. Ooh. Okay, so that's where I can get my sniper. Holy smokes, they got good range on that thing. Alright, I think I gotta call it there, guys. I am sorry to end it on such a lame note, but I am tired. I am not getting any better at this, and I think it is better that I cover this game when I'm in... I think it's better that I cover this when I'm, like, fresh and ready. I hope you enjoyed some of the discussion we had before, because I feel that's the only value added I bring to Battlefield 5. I will still try it on like the hardcore mode, because I want to get better, and part of that means not making stupid decisions like I've been doing. Especially for those of you who I said it would be a special stream. I don't know if it was. I was hoping that the dialogue would be enough to draw people in. But I am looking forward to this. So my guess here, so obviously under No Flag, we've talked a little bit about, I'm going to see if I can find out more about this. I'm going to assume this might be about the atomic bomb. I'm not quite sure what this woman is, though. Tirailleur, this I'm really interested in. So if I think this term goes back to the Napoleonic era of sort of these combatants from the colonies. So, and I think in World War II, there's a bunch of fighters from Senegal who are called this as well. So, I mean, again, it seems to be delivering on the the unknown stories of World War II. I'm gonna guess that none of you would have said that that this is these are the stories of World War II. I'm also very interested in The Last Tiger, obviously because you play a German. But anyways, thank you kindly for enduring all of this. I don't know if I'm going to have anybody to host tonight. This definitely wound up being a later cast. This is probably like 5 or 6 hours of streaming. Oh, you know what? We're talking about Slay the Spire, and Melee Mage is playing it. So let's give him a raid. So, as usual, we're tired of System Talk. Heard this place was better. I hope you guys have fun with that. I will be back Friday. I don't know if I'm going to do this or Mass Effect 2. We'll find out at the time. But I need some rest. And yeah, we'll talk more then. Thank you very much for watching. Please do say hi to Melee Mage for me. Have a good night.